Hey, welcome in.
Welcome to the Arrowhead Addict podcast.
We are here coming to you live.
Let me tell you, the dopamine, it's flowing.
I am damn excited. Damn excited.
We are so excited to be joining you guys tonight.
Oh!
Well, how you doing, man? Patrick.
Will, Sterling.
Yeah.
Super Bowl champion, two-time Pro Bowler, and Trent Green. Trent Green, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Oh, he picked it up! He picked it up! He's gonna
And we'll see you next week. But until then, as always, go Chiefs.
Welcome. This is Freaky Friday here on the Arrowhead Addict channel. I'm Adam Best. Sterling Holmes is my co-host. Tight show for you guys today. We are going for the land speed record just because stuff we have going on. So we're going to jump right into it. Producer Richard's going to help us trying something new. It is called the Royal Rumble Training Camp Thoughts.
Let's get ready to rumble.
Okay. So if you pay attention to pro wrestling, the WWE has this thing called the Royal Rumble. It's a big deal. It's a 30-man battle royal where each mystery participant comes out one by one at timed intervals. We're going to do that with Chiefs players and Chiefs personalities, 30 randomly placed names for 1 minute apiece. Sterling and I are going to alternate with rapid fire takes about these different Chiefs. It's basically a training camp report and an overall vibe check all in one. We're going to skip Big Red, Creed, Jones, Kelsey, McDuffie, Rice, and Mahomes. We kind of know the situation, the score with those guys. We're going super nitty gritty. So with that said, I'm going to start us off jumping right in with number one, cornerback Chris Roland-Wallace. And my thoughts here are if Steve Spagnuolo and Dave Merritt do not want to play Trent McDuffie inside in the slot, which I think might be optimal. He's the best slot corner in the league. This is the guy I want to see there because I think Chamari Connor doesn't have the foot speed to hang with all the players he's going to encounter from that alignment, from the nickel. And every time Chris Roland-Wallace, every time I hear his name, it's associated with something good. He's tipping a pass. He's making an interception. I'm pretty sure he made an interception this morning in training camp. So he just has a nose to the ball. And I think this might be the latest underrated gem that Dave Merritt and Steve Spagnuolo have unearthed and developed together in a long lineage of these type of guys. I'm not saying he's the next L'Jarius Sneed or Charvarius Ward, but I think they have a real find here. And I prefer him in the slot to Chamari Connor.
What are you going to do when Leo Chanel comes for you, brother? Woo! Welcome to Death Row. Right here. Okay, I'm going all in on the WWE nonsense, this mania going on. Leo would be, first off, a great Rumble partner, but this dude is a force defensively. I don't think his role is going to improve a ton. I think Leo is what Leo is, and Spagnuolo understands that. It's almost like Willie Gay Jr. when he was here in Kansas City. Fans were clamoring for more Willie Gay. Then he gets the opportunity, and you see, okay, maybe he was better in just a truncated role. I think that's kind of Leo. I like him a lot, a phenomenal special teamer as well. But if you are expecting Leo to all of a sudden take a massive snap count share forward, I don't think that's going to happen. I think the defense and Spagnuolo uses him the perfect amount to where he does not get exposed. We'll find out with the Drew Tranquil injury if that leads to anything. I think Bossa has such a different role that him and Leo don't even really coincide in that regard. I love Leo. I don't see a snap count going up.
I don't know if you were doing Hulk Hogan or, a little, ooh, yeah, the Macho Man. But
Macho Man, you think.
Hollywood Brown has a name for wrestling, but he doesn't have a body for wrestling. This dude had screws in his left foot before he ever played a pro snap. Probably because he favored that foot in 2022. He broke his right foot. he has had a calf sprain, an ankle strain, a hamstring tear, a patella sprain. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. When the injury gods take away the precision required to play the wide receiver, role, they take away your legs. It is usually a series of lower leg injuries that robs these guys of their talent. I do not think this guy can be counted on. I would set the over at maybe 8 or 9 games. This is why I think they should be in the market for another receiver and not like an old corpse or carcass, Terry McLaurin. Probably too expensive, but you at least got to call. That's where I'm at with Hollywood Brown.
Yes. Kareem Hunt, yes, will make the roster. I think Kareem Hunt has a Samaje Perine style role this year, even more so. We would have liked to see more Perine last year, at least myself personally, but he was the third down and the pass protector the Chiefs trusted most. I think you'll see Kareem Hunt actually catch more passes this year than last year. I think we'll see him more in a specified third down role than last year. I still think he takes over and keeps that short yardage role, but I think first and second down, we'll see less of him and more Elijah Mitchell and or Isaiah Pacheco. Rashard Smith, I have high hopes for going forward this year, maybe not so much. I do think you'll see a lot of Kareem Hunt, though, actually transition into a role that's better for him. I think we'll see Kareem Hunt in that role that he was in Cleveland when it was him and Nick Chubb. I think that he will be fresh, almost like the way he was to start when he came back to KC before it tapered off because of the amount of carries he was getting. That amount of carries will not be there this year.
George Karlaftis. Now, here's a guy that not only has 2 wrestling nicknames, Furious George, the Greek Freak, he has the body and the mentality and the power to be a pro wrestler. But I think in today's NFL, I know we get annoyed with Steve Spagnuolo, how he doesn't like these kind of more speed demon pass rushers with the bend who can dip and get around the corner. But with the RPOs, with the running quarterbacks, with the running game becoming more in vogue in the NFL once again, how things ebb and flow, I think him setting the edge, being good against the run, has more value than maybe we realize sometimes. And also, he's not a guy that's going to get a bunch of quick sacks, but he has a real nose for the ball, and he never stops. So if you're talking $17.5 million for George Karlaftis for the next 6 years, I think we're going to see a year or 2 from now. That's a bargain.
That's me doing my Undertaker. That's the Undertaker, and that is Matt Nagy, OC. I think we'll see the deep passing ball rise from the dead, just like the Undertaker. I know Matt Nagy gets a lot of bleep, and sometimes, maybe rightfully so. I do think OC is interesting. It's like pitching coach or hitting coach in baseball. You don't blame Andy Reid. You don't blame the manager. A lot of times you blame the coordinator, and the OC is the one that typically bears the blame. When things went bad in KC, it was Eric Bieniemy. Now fans are clamoring for Eric Bieniemy back. It's the OC. They're the scapegoat. Again, I think Matt Nagy could do things differently. I understand the nuances of, does he hold them accountable? I don't know. They're grown-ass men, and they've gone to 3 straight Super Bowls. It's okay. End of the day, I think Matt Nagy's going to have a maybe a little revisionist to what he is as an OC. So I think he comes back from the dead where a lot of fans think he should be, and he has a nice year as the OC. Deep ball comes back. A lot of pressure on Nagy, but I think he finds a way to get it done.
We're going to have to gift that Sterling Undertaker meme. It's going to be hard to beat that. Next up is Noah Gray, tight end Noah Gray. And in wrestling, there's this thing called jobbers, where they're basically no-name dudes who are just around to put stars over. And then you have the stars, and then you kind of have the middle-class wrestlers who are super reliable. You know what they're going to give you. You can count on them being around. They're never going to be superstars. Noah Gray is the football equivalent of that. I think he is maybe the most clockwork person on the roster. You see this. Patrick Mahomes and trust him in pivotal, like third down situations. He knows that if he's open and he throws to Noah Gray is going to squeeze that football, not turn it over, be where he needs to be. That's what you can get from Noah Gray. And I think we're probably going to peak here at 500 or 600 yards. But for a tight end too, in today's NFL, I think that's very good. And with Rashee Rice out for an extended period of time, we're going to need him in 12 personnel.
You're fired from left tackle, and you're going to be the new left guard. That's Kingsley Suamataia. I think Suamataia is the left guard. Tackle, fair or not, he was that last year, and it was brutal. I do think if he was on the Panthers or the Giants or the Jets, he would have gotten 3 years to progress, and maybe we're talking about him as a viable, solid left tackle in the NFL. But when you are trying to win Super Bowls, you cannot afford to go through the growing pains. He will transition into left guard. I know Jalen Moore is working out there, Hunter Norzad, Mike Caliendo. To me, it's Kingsley Suamata'ia's job to lose. The athleticism is there. Jalen Moore, I think, is more or less, at this point, I think, right tackle, left guard, left tackle, break glass in case of emergency. They're trying him out at all spots just to see if he can do it. He can do it. I still think right tackle actually is a real battle. Left guard right now, I'm giving the edge to Kingsley Suamataia. But I think we are going to look back at Kingsley Suamataia being a top 15 PFF left guard this year. I know that might not be crazy, but that's a huge boost from last season.
Choo, choo. That's the Elijah Mitchell train, and I am your conductor. I am not getting off the Elijah Mitchell train. I know he's probably RB3 right now in the depth chart, but I don't think he's going to have that hard of a time, health permitting, leapfrogging one Kareem Hunt. I think Kareem Hunt filled in admirably last year, but he's a year older, and he already was losing some of his juice. They have the need for speed in this offense at the running back position. I don't think Rashard Smith is ready for a sizable role in the NFL. We'll see. Pass blocking, pass protection is going to be necessary for him to get on the field. I'm doubting he's ready. Elijah Mitchell, we're getting rave reviews about his pass protection and pass catching chops in training camp. We know what he can do as a rusher. Again, health permitting, but we've seen before a broken 49ers running back in Jerick McKinnon come to Kansas City, stay healthy, stay fresh. He is the most explosive guy they've got.
These are two beers. Drew Tranquill is typically that guy in training camp. The issue is now he is injured. It looked like he went up the hill today, front of the cart, which is, again, a huge difference than the back. But he looks like has a back injury on a non-contact play, according to Andy Reid today. Intriguing, interesting, not ideal. Because Drew Tranquill, if we all remember, this was Drew. This was Pacheco last year, and they went at it. It was fun. It was exciting. This year, we need those guys. We need the Chiefs to need those guys because they are leaders. I know Drew Tranquill's not the loudest guy. He's not someone who's always hooping and hollering unless it's a Super Bowl parade. Then we know he's absolutely elite and electric. But he is a guy that gets other dudes going. I have a little concerns about Drew Tranquill, a year older. Now the injury started off slow last season before really picking it up in the second half. I do wonder if there is some regression coming for Drew. I sure hope not, but if I had to choose or maybe pick a guy who might regress a little, could be him.
Cornerback, safety, Chamari Connor. I definitely prefer him at safety. I think almost all of Chiefs Kingdom does at this point. And it's really frustrating, I think, because Chamari Connor at times during his rookie season looked like the best safety on the field. I remember him sticking George Kittle in the Super Bowl and thinking, wow, he's got big things ahead of him at the safety position. And he's spending time in the slot, and it's just not looking good. And we're taking a fan favorite and basically turning him into a heel. You don't want to end up the object of the fan base's anger. You do not want to be in that Sky Moore chair. And I don't want Chamari Connor to be there either, but I just don't think this is a position where he's cut out to play. He's not going to make it. They either, like I said before, it's either got to be Trent McDuffie or Chris Roland-Wallace, or I just don't see it working out. But Very, very good safety. I think he has a role to play this season, and I think we'll ultimately see him back there with Hicks and Cook.
To be the man, you have to beat the man, Trey Smith, because he does not get beat, especially in the run game. Pass protection, I think he's going to have to improve there because he cannot get beat this year. You are no longer the 6th rounder. You are now the guy the Chiefs kept instead of Trey Smith. You are now paid like the best guard in football. You've been a top 10 guard in football, bordering top 5 guard in football. Now it's time to be the best guard in football. Those occasional penalties that we saw, you got passes. 6th rounder. It's okay. Not anymore. Highest paid guard in football. Those penalties will now be over-analyzed. Fair or not, that's the nature of the game. I think Trey Smith will find a way to get it done. I don't know how much he's going to improve because I don't know how much I improve. One, can improve, but two, with Andy Heck, we've not seen a lot of improvement in general under his tutelage in recent years. Not trying to say he should be fired, just pointing that out. I still believe in Trey Smith looking like a top 5 guard this year. Trey Smith, hand out pancakes.
Wide receiver, Jalen Royals. He's a rookie. He's a rookie receiver in an Andy Reid system. So that typically means don't expect to see much of him until around, I don't know, Halloween at the earliest, probably more like Thanksgiving. However, his ability to learn these installs, everyone says the same thing. He's a quick study. He's like a sponge. He picks this stuff up quick. It's like Matt Nagy is Morpheus and he's Neo. He gets plugged in, his eyes twitch for a little bit and he says, I know Kung Fu. That is Jalen Royals. And I think it's a good thing because Juju Smith-Schuster cannot stay healthy. He is option B at the power slot role. But if you want someone that's more of a Rashee Rice light, it is Jalen Royals. I think he was 4th or 5th in yards after the catch in his class. He had the best 10-yard split among wide receivers. I'm hoping to see him in the first 6 weeks of the season.
Believe that Jalen Watson will hopefully stay healthy this year because that's what needs to happen. Jalen Watson, whether you believe that he is a phenomenal cornerback or simply a league average cornerback, the Chiefs need him to stay healthy with the concerns of Christian Fulton. You know my thoughts on Fulton? Love me some Christian Fulton. The injury is major concern. So this puts an extra precedent on Watson to stay healthy. Watson has had his own share of injuries, but we have seen what he can do even fighting through injuries. He did not look like the same guy post-injury last year as he did before. We need to see him bounce back because if Watson looks good and if Fulton can stay healthy, then McDuffie can move into the slot. And then we're not worrying about Shamari Connor there. You're not worrying about Christian Roland-Wallace, who I am a fan of. You can have your best 3 corners on the field at the same time. To me, though, it all comes down to can Watson stay healthy?
So I'm going to call him offensive tackle / guard Jalen Moore. We don't know where he's going to end up. If you think back to the tag team Demolition, I'm aging myself, but 80s, 90s, WWF, before it was even the WWE, which I believe was because of a lawsuit from the World Wildlife Federation. Their Demolition was a tag team where Axe and Smash were the main guys, but Crash was kind of the third wheel who could come in and be part of the tag team at any moment. That's Jalen Moore. Not only a plus swing tackle, I think he's going to be a plus swing guard. So if Jawan Taylor continues to be the most flagged player we've seen in the new millennium, they can give him the hook. If Kingsley Suamataia isn't ready for left guard either after failing at left tackle, he can play there. So I think given how offensive line woes have sunk 2 Super Bowl runs, this is a good luxury to have.
You just made the list. Mike Dana, the list of rotational edge rushers. It's going to be Karlaftis number 1. And then on the other side, Minahu, I imagine will be the starter. but they'll probably want to give him a good chunk of rest as well. We know Karlaftis hardly goes out. You'll see Ashton Gelati, FAU, but I still think you're going to see a pretty heavy dose of Mike Dana because they trust Mike Dana. Inside, outside doesn't really matter. I think you'll see Charles Minahu go inside as well at times. This is probably the final go-round of Mike Dana in a Chiefs uniform, if I had to guess. I like what he's done. 5th rounder out of, I want to say, Central Michigan. I think he played at Michigan for a little bit too, but Central Michigan, I've liked how he's developed. I liked how he has grown. You can count on him. Is he ever going to be explosive? Probably not, but he's a very valuable rotational piece. Again, I think probably the final year for Mike Dana in KC. Let's have him go out with a bang.
By God, that's Omarr Norman-Lott's music. If there's one rookie that is hitting training camp like a hurricane, well, besides Josh Simmons, it is this guy. I really love what we're hearing about Omarr Norman-Lott. He has the juice. And I think it's not just that he has the juice, it's that he has technique and fundamentals well beyond his years. You've heard Charles Minahu say stuff like he's really learning how to grab hands and use, other people's wrist and all that kind of like jujitsu stuff that defensive linemen use to get through the offensive line. So I think if there's one guy who's going to come in defensively for the Chiefs as a rookie and make a splash, it's this kid. And boy, do they need him to, because Chris Jones per game last year played more than any defensive tackle in the league. He's 31, guys. We got to get that snap share down so he can be at his best as a closer late in games and throughout the playoffs.
Acknowledge me, says Roman Reigns and Tyquan Thornton. Acknowledge Tyquan Thornton in what he has been doing in training camp. Dude has been an absolute training camp darling. I will also point out Tyquan Thornton, as we've heard from people down in New England, this is what he does. He looks phenomenal in OTAs and mini camp and training camp, and then it feels like there was never any growth. It's one of the situations where, let's say you're a golfer. You have 4 putts to make a putt. You're probably going to make that putt, but it might be the 3rd or 4th one. The issue in the NFL is you have one chance to do it. You have to make that play and run that play correctly the first time. I'm not saying I'm concerned because it doesn't really matter. The Chiefs aren't counting on Tyquan Thornton, but I am intrigued, especially if Rashee Rice misses time, which I think we all assume he's going to be put on the commissioner's list and miss some games. That's the case. That's 2 spots opened up now for Remigio, Thornton, or maybe even Sky Moore. I think Thornton actually has a pretty good chance of making the roster. If he keeps up this strong training camp, I like it even more. Speed kills.
So Brett Veach, I'm thinking right now of the Vince McMahon meme where you see him mildly surprised, very surprised, extremely surprised, and then so surprised he falls out of his chair. We've seen some big moves from Brett Veach this offseason. We've seen the Joe Thuney trade, the Trey Smith contract, the George Karlaftis contract that we weren't expecting. Well, unless you're Ricky predicting White Boy Summer, I wonder if he's got the fall out of the chair Vince McMahon in him. If he's going to make a call on Micah Parsons, I think it's malpractice if every GM doesn't at least pick up the phone and call, because outside of quarterbacks, he might be the most valuable player in the NFL, given age, position, scarcity, performance. Pick up the phone. It's unlikely to happen. Same with Terry McLaurin, but also cut day is coming up here in a month or so. I think he's going to continue to look for pieces to add to this roster.
Oh, yeah. Isaiah Pacheco runs savagely. Randy Savage. There we go. It's been a detriment because we've seen the amount of injuries start to pile up already for Isaiah Pacheco. You know my thoughts. I've gone a little back and forth with this. I think it's fair to wonder what he's going to look like this year with the amount of injuries already sustained and the fact that we saw him come back from injury last year and look like a shell of himself. Because if the athleticism goes, we know the vision is not there. That is not a very viable running back. I also want to point out, is it fair to criticize him that much when he came back early? He fought back. he probably wasn't supposed to play last year, and he came back early. That could be a big reason why he didn't look good. Is a full training camp off season to get healthy and get right. Is that going to be the difference? Will Pop bring the pop back to the running game? He has some competition with Elijah Mitchell, Kareem Hunt, and obviously the rookie Rashard Smith. I'm hedging my bets on Pacheco. I don't think he'll have a stranglehold on the lead back role, but he'll get some snaps.
Rashard Smith, running back. There's this movie called Fighting with Your Family about aspiring wrestlers trying to make the WWE. And you don't just like show up on their front doorstep and get put in the show. You have to go, I think it's called the Power Plan or something. I forget what it's called, but they basically have the minor leagues for wrestling. And you have to learn how to put on good matches, how to take falls, how to do all these things that not only sell the product, but protect you. And more importantly, your fellow wrestler. Rashard Smith is going to have to learn how to protect Patrick Mahomes before he gets on the field. That is just a prerequisite for him and any running back who's going to be a pass catcher in this offense. I think he might have a bright future ahead of him as a Jerick McKinnon type or a Tyrone Tracy type. But 7th round pick, temper your expectations and be patient with him. He has to learn pass protection to get in Andy Reid's offense.
My name is Xavier Worthy, and I'm a certified G and a bona fide stud, and you can't teach that. You can't teach that speed that Xavier Worthy possesses and what he does on the field. One of the quickest dudes in the entire NFL, and he's not just a guy who's fast. He's a wide receiver first and foremost, and I think that's a big difference. He can run all the routes. We saw some of the issues on the deep ball last year, some of the misconnections with Patrick and himself. I think we're going to see a lot of those ironed out. I know the Super Bowl was brutal, but I do think that deep ball could be a microcosm opening up for those two guys to enter in the entire season. Yes, I do think it'll look a lot better when Rashee Rice comes back. If he's suspended, yeah, it might be a little bit of the same from last year, but with Worthy, with Rice, with Brown, you're going to see an explosive offense, and I think Worthy as at the second focal point of that. Wide receiver 2, Xavier Worthy.
Say hello to the bad guy, not Razor Ramon, but Jawan Taylor, the most penalized player in the league. I think the rest of the league hates this guy because he consistently tries to beat the snap count and get, an early jump on blocking edges. And in Chiefs Kingdom, he's not popular for many of the same reasons. He has not performed up to his contract. Sterling, you definitely predicted this. But coming from the Jaguars, he looked like a rising star, and he hasn't even been the same player that he was in Jacksonville. Now his job is in jeopardy. Jalen Moore is challenging him for that starting right tackle spot. And with the Chiefs almost certainly likely to cut him next offseason to save $20 million, man, he has to be feeling the pressure. And I think probably it would be better off if Jalen Moore did beat him out so the Chiefs could start looking forward with more continuity, but we will see what happens. He still has untapped upside.
I'm better than you, and you know it. Josh Simmons is better than everyone on the left tackle last year, and he knows it. Today was actually the first day in the presser where he actually was enthusiastic and gave a little bit. He had been so like, no, I'm here to work. I'm here just to do this. You didn't get hardly anything. Looks like he's opening up a little bit on the persona side, Josh Simmons is. But Josh Simmons, what more can you say? From a guy like myself who was, quite frankly, a little upset about the pick. Not because of him personally, but because of the knee. And because of the fact, again, we've not seen the Chiefs develop, especially early on, tackles who can be viable. I thought just go out and get a free agent. Jalen Moore, there you go. Plug Jalen Moore in there and draft Luther Burden. Josh Simmons looks like a steal, and his doctor deserves a raise, a Nobel Peace Prize, or any other prize out there. Make him president because it looks like the best patellar tendon surgery of all time. I'm all in on Josh Simmons, and this is a complete 180 from just a month or two ago.
To quote Ric Flair, Charles Omenihu is a Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, limousine riding, jet flying son of a gun. He's got the style, and now he's got another season removed from that ACL surgery. We know what happens when these guys get back to being healthy. We saw it with Turk Wharton last year. He took a huge leap from his first year back from getting his ACL reconstructed. Charles Omenihu, big personality, a lot of style. What I like about Charles Omenihu is he's one of these guys, now that we have him for a full season, who can make sure that George Karlaftis isn't playing every single snap. He can play close to every snap, but not every single snap. He can also kick inside and make sure that Chris Jones isn't getting worn down. We saw Chris Jones have to sit out those regular season games from Christmas on last year. We don't want to see that again. We want a healthy Chris Jones. Charles Omenihu, I think he's playing in a contract year. He's been chasing a big deal. I think he goes out and has his best season in the NFL yet.
I'm Nick Bolton, and I'm awesome. Yeah, baby, Nick Bolton, you're awesome. I'm glad you're back here in KC. I'm glad a contract extension happened. I don't care about the money. It's not my, you know what? That's Brett Veach's job, not my job. And it's also because I like Nick Bolton. Don't bother the Mizzou helmet over my shoulder that screams I might be a homer. I'm not. Nick Bolton obviously was valued by NFL scouts and front office execs as well. If you saw that list that came out, Nick Bolton was linebacker 4, I believe, on the list. Obviously, it's not just some Mizzou fans and Chiefs fans and Chiefs front office that value Nick Bolton. The entire league valued Nick Bolton. They think he's a great player, and I do too. He is the brain of the defense, and it's going to have to be on point this year with the secondary brain, Justin Reed, now in New Orleans. This might be more pressure on Nick Bolton. New contract without Justin Reed. Huge year for Bolton incoming.
I don't have an Ultimate Warrior impression in me. I'd have to go out and huff some paint for half an hour to get that out of my mind. But Jaden Hicks, if you remember the way the Ultimate Warrior used to run to the ring full speed, shake the ropes, be a maniac, I think that's the way Jaden Hicks is going to hit this starting lineup. He is, I think he was probably the defensive MVP of last year's, if not training camp, certainly preseason. And he looked good out there in the limited snaps he played. He did not look out of his depths. He looked like he was ready to be a starter. And I think that's why the Chiefs let Justin Reed go. And this is really the first time in the Brett Veach, Steve Spagnuolo era that they haven't had a highly paid safety as the ringleader back there in the secondary. And I think that's part of why Nick Bolton is back, to be that overall ringleader and communicate. But no Justin Reed, no Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger. He's retired. I don't think we'll see him back in Kansas City. Jaden Hicks, ready to go. I think with what's going on with Brian Cook and Shamari Connor, they could really use him becoming a Pro Bowl level player.
Can you smell what Matt Ariza's cooking? I don't know. I didn't know what else to do. We're at the end of this. I know nothing about WWE. I've tried my absolute best to get all these out here. Matt Ariza needs a good training camp. I need to see Ariza get better at pinning teams inside the 15, the 10. I know he always wants to try and get guys inside the 1, it feels like. Let's start working on getting him inside the 20. The amount of touchbacks last year were not ideal for a guy who's been touted as this incredibly strong leg. I don't know if we saw the consistency that we were hoping for. I'm hoping Ariza figures it out this year. I understand we're talking punter at this point. How important is punter? Well, I think we know how important punter is in big time moments. Can you make the big time kick? I hope Ariza gets it figured out, because I do think the potential and the talent is there. To me, it's the consistency that is lacking. The consistency that Colquitt had for years and years and years.
Christian Fulton, I don't know who to compare him to. He's like a wrestler that can't stay in the ring. I don't know if that's Triple H or Kurt Angle or like you, Sterling. I mean, growing up, I was a gigantic wrestling fan, but when we started to get in character here and try to do actually bring the wrestling slogans and characters, I'm like, ooh, I might be in over my head. But Christian Fulton, man, I'm a little worried. I was hoping his Chiefs tenure would start with a bang because he's been hurt at every stop after being pretty highly regarded in the NFL draft, a second-round pick. And really, I think one of the reasons why I'm looking forward to him having a presence is if you have him on the outside and Jalen Watson on the outside, the Chiefs really have no choice if both those guys are playing well, but to put Trent McDuffie in the slot. That's where I want Trent McDuffie. I think Trent McDuffie is an A or A- guy on the outside and an A++ guy as your nickel. I really hope that materializes.
Give me 2 claps and a Ric Flair. Woo! Because apparently I'm doing Jalen Watson twice. We've already done him once, so we're not going to do it again. But I was just having fun. Is
Okay.
supposed to do someone else?
Let's do Brian Cook. Brian Cook.
Is Brian Cook? Do you smell what Brian is cooking? I don't know. That was bad. Brian Cook is, I think, going to be the same player we saw last year. I know we keep wanting him to be what he once was prior to injury, but I think it's almost in the Juan Thornhill mode at this point where it's, yeah, he's still a fine player, but you're still left wondering about the what ifs. I wonder what his role is going to look like if Chamari Connor ends up moving back to safety exclusively. Does Chamari Connor end up taking and eating into Brian Cook's role? Jaden Hicks, I'm all in on obviously as a starter for, back there. Obviously, you have Mike Edwards who has been re-signed, but I guess maybe a battle to look out for is Chamari and Brian Cook.
The one guy we didn't put in was Mike Pinnell because he would have just tossed everybody else out of the ring and easily won this Royal Rumble. That was goofy. It was probably a little corny. It was chaotic, but I think it was fun. We got a lot of information to you guys. So thanks for the chat, for getting down with us today. Please consider subscribing here on YouTube, over on Apple, over on Spotify. That way you never miss a show. Also, arrowheadaddict.com, the mothership, all your training camp and preseason updates. You can get them from there. I will be out next Friday on vacation, recharging for the regular season. I think Sterling or somebody should be here on next Freaky Friday, probably at the regular time, 3 p.m. Central, right here on the Arrowhead Addict YouTube channel. Until then, go Chiefs.